Bodybuilders aren't the only people that take steroids. So who and what kind of athletes take steroids, Adam?
Everybody.
Everybody takes steroids, all professional athletes, and we get so much hate for saying this, but it's true, and the reality is that it's right in front of your faces. You just have to look. We have Paul Pogba here, and he has been suspended very recently for failing a drug test and popping hot for testosterone usage. He's been suspended for 4 years. Adam, why in the hell would someone use testosterone playing soccer? I mean, this guy's a world champion. He's won multiple titles. He's won the FIFA World Cup in France or with France. Why does he need testosterone?
Yeah, of course, the big misconception that we get from, most general populace is that performance enhancing drugs are specifically for bodybuilding to get big muscles. And the reality is, I would actually argue bodybuilders are maybe the small percentage of performance enhancing drug users. Their, PEDs have a multitude of beneficial effects. There you go, performance enhancing drugs. They enhance your performance. And to be honest, there's way more money in professional sports than there ever is or potentially even will be in bodybuilding. So it makes sense that for bodybuilding, where there's X amount of money on the line, that's about physique development, there's PEDs involved. But in professional sports, where there's literally millions on the line, when it comes to your recovery, when it comes to your performance, when it comes to your cardiovascular performance, when it comes to your muscle endurance, all these different factors which can be influenced by performance enhancing drugs, I think it's kind of a no-brainer. We know from the multitude of evidence, multiple studies, that it's a big factor in sport, and people make this assumption that big muscles equals PEDs, and that's just not really the case, because like we know, muscular size is only one of the potential effects. It can be used for a multitude of other effects, which I've just discussed.
Yeah, and I think a dead giveaway to that is like the idea that using anabolic steroids will make you massive alone is so flawed, because we have an individual, and he tried to say on his Instagram, and he took this stuff down, that essentially he was mistested, that there was a contamination in his test, that something had happened that was completely incorrect test. Virtually impossible to contaminate your urine with a epi to test ratio that's too high. You'd have to consume a ridiculously large amount of testosterone on accident to get anywhere near relevant serum levels that would pop you on a drug test. But in this case, you would look at this guy and be like, there's no way he's on, like, it had to be a mistake. He doesn't look like a bodybuilder. He doesn't look like an absolute gigantic human. And you'd be right, this guy is a normal sized individual. What is testosterone going to do that's going to level up his performance? And if he's not even that jacked, right? Like, he's just a normal, probably 170-pound guy, he's definitely not taking testosterone. But the reality is that testosterone is so multifactorial. It's going to increase red blood cell production, which is going to increase oxygen capacity, which is going to increase endurance. It's going to increase your actual neural capacity to go through motor patterns, and therefore develop more refined motor patterns within your body, allowing you to perform complicated movements in series at relative ease without ever causing further complications. And it's a very common compound to use, even though it's common to be found in a drug test like we have here with Paul. It's still very commonly used within the industry. And for those who don't think that there isn't coincidental evidence that other people, other professional athletes, other individuals in high tier society spots, right, who are making millions, if not billions of dollars, that aren't leveraging some form of pharmaceutical compound to get ahead in life, you're ludicrous. Okay, so we have a really cool study here, not a study, but an article that Adam had shared with me just before we hopped on, which talks about the asthma incidence being ridiculously high in Liverpool soccer or football players. And oddly enough, there's a 63% rate of clinical classification of asthma within players. But why would a team be getting mostly asthmatic people to play for them if they know that asthma is not conducive to great success within physical sports? And then oddly enough, 25% of the total players had exercise-induced asthma, which is even worse. And that would make virtually no sense in a sport that completely is dependent on endurance and running and efficiency of one's breathing. Why would that even be happening in such a high frequency, Adam? What are your thoughts?
Well, as we well know, that one of the prescription medications for asthma is inhalers, which often contain albuterol, which is a bronchodilator, which can basically increase your oxygen carrying capacity, which is in itself a performance enhancing effect. So whilst this article does state it is a rumor, I think it is quite common in endurance related sports, where endurance is a major factor, like in soccer, like in marathon running, like in cycling, that being, well, not necessarily being asthmatic, but rather being prescribed asthmatic medications is going to have a beneficial performance-enhancing effect. It's the same reason why in the Tour de France, all of other endurance sports, people use altitude chambers to try and increase the number of red blood cells that they have to increase their oxygen carrying capacity. This is a similar train of thought where using medications like albuterol, you're increasing your VO2 max, increasing the amount of oxygen you can carry, thereby increasing your endurance and performance on the field.
100%. And I think people definitely mistake what inhalers can do. And there's, I mean, I personally see this. We saw one recently at the gym, actually, as we were training, but people using inhalers before working out, before a set of squats or deadlifts to increase their performance intra-workout to therefore modulate mechanical tension. And there's a great study here, which was an old one, and it just kind of shows how long this has been around, but enhancement of exercise performance with inhaled albuterol. And for those that don't know, albuterol is the primary medication as well as clenbuterol for the treatment of bronchoconstriction, or in other words, these compounds are bronchodilators, and they absolutely do increase performance. And there was a massive increase in VO2 max and VE max in the people who were using inhalers, and they had a much higher ride time. In this case, they were testing marathon runners or cyclists. So there's definitely a lot of evidence that is supporting these kind of individuals, these athletes who are at a high level, who are making millions of dollars, are depending on substances to get to that next level. And there is a individual out there who is making the enhanced gains, and some of you might have seen articles from him, who is publishing basically the process of starting an Olympic sport in general, all the Olympic sports, where they don't drug test, where it's drug promotion. They actually say, hey, if you want to use steroids, if you want to use, alpha-2 inhibitors or beta-2 compounds, agonist compounds, there's ways to do that. And you can welcome here to use them and improve your performance and get radically new results at higher levels. And I think that's very cool, because it's just allowing the open sort of acknowledgement that, hey, everyone's using stuff in some capacity or another. And myself and Adam, we get on consultations with people all the time trying to backdoor their way into different sports by using pharmaceutical enhancements through underground means. And I think it's just needs to be more recognized that this is a real thing. So even though he doesn't look massive, is Paul Pogba using steroids? For sure. It's actually impossible to fail his test through contamination only. Likely he is taking testosterone to improve endurance and as well motor unit recruitment, as well as motor unit development in terms of movement capacity. I agree 100%. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree there too. Like, yes, could we definitively 100% say he's taking injectable testosterone? No, but what we can say is based on the balance of things, based on, like we said, the professionalism or money involved in sport, based on how common this actually is when you dig into the data, when you see how many incidents there are of professional sportsmen failing a multitude of drug tests. I mean, it's no logical fallacy, or it's no short step to think, well, if it's in a lot of other sports, it will be in things like soccer, in multitude of sports where there is a lot on the line here. In addition to that, again, like we can't stress it enough, performance enhancing drugs, increasing muscle size is one variable of that. Endurance, strength, power, all these different things, motor unit recruitment, etc., neurological drive, all these things are benefits from PEDs, which have a beneficial effect for sportsmen. So yeah, I think maybe is your local regional ping pong player on testosterone? Probably not. But is your national level or international sportsman probably taking some sort of concoction to assist with their job and their livelihood? I mean, I would say so.
Yeah, definitely. If you told me I had $1 million on the line to get as shredded as humanly possible in 8 weeks, you guarantee I would be doing everything humanly possible, everything under and over the counter to get there. And it would be an absolute prerogative. Now multiply that by 10 or 20 or 50, and that's what these guys are dealing with. There's a definite correlation to the amount of money someone's making and risk to their reputation, as well to the degree of willingness that they have to experiment with pharmaceutical compounds. So I 100% think this is real. Let us know what you think down in the comments below. Do you think that soccer players are on testosterone and running cycles like bodybuilders without getting a physique of a bodybuilder? And if you do think that, why? And if you don't, why? Let's get a little Socratic here. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. We will catch you in the next video.